Hi everyone, I'm Ross Wiiliams. I'm the global capability owner for a capability we call data-driven engagement at Boehringer Ingelheim, a pharmaceutical company based in Ingelheim, about 35 miles south of Frankfurt in central Germany. Today I'm excited to share a bit about our approach to customer experience, how the CDP supports that, and offer some insight into how we're enabling the CDP at scale on a global level. But first, a little bit about me. As mentioned, I'm the global capability owner for data-driven engagement. That means I'm accountable for the process, the platforms, and the people behind the data, namely in developing the skills and facilitating enablement in order to bring data-driven engagement to life. I'm from the UK originally, hence the accent, but I grew up mostly in the US, near where this picture was taken. This is Valley Forge National Park, near Philadelphia. And I've been in Germany for the last 8 years. My career has spanned various industries, from public diplomacy to healthcare to medical devices to pharma. But a common thread is that I've always been interested in tackling the challenges and seeing the benefits of bringing together the online and offline customer experience. Personal interactions in the digital age are a shrinking but valuable commodity. So at Boehringer Ingelheim, just like in other companies, we have to maximize every opportunity. We may not be able to meet every customer in person, but we can use the data to create a personalized interaction that allows us to best serve their needs. With help from Treasure Data, we've been enabling our markets to build exactly that. Stronger, more personal connections through moments that matter, that transcend the online space and deliver a useful and valuable experience to those we're trying to reach. To start, it might be useful to have a bit of background about who we are and why we do what we do, and so you can see what we do in the pharmaceutical industry, but also beyond that. Boehringer Ingelheim was founded in 1885, so we're an old company. It was founded by Albert Boehringer, and it's very much still a family company. Our global headquarters is, and always has been, in Ingelheim, Germany, population 35,000. But the company has remarkable scope. We're the largest privately owned pharmaceutical company in the world, with more than 47,000 employees operating in more than 130 countries. So I'm curious, how many of you have ever heard of Boehringer Ingelheim? Okay, more than I thought, to be honest. That's good. So it's a story in staying true to your roots while reaching well beyond them. We have 3 main business areas. So we have human health, animal health, and biopharmaceutical contract manufacturing. This 3-pronged focus reflects not just our comprehensive approach to healthcare, but also touches on a deep awareness that things are connected, and that working towards a holistic solution not only makes sense, but makes a real difference. I work on the human health side, so that's where I'm going to focus. Pharmaceutical companies like Boehringer Ingelheim are facing the same challenges as most of you. We're all just trying to connect with our customers. No matter what sector or industry we work in, we all deal with people. And that means we have to find the best and most efficient way to find and engage with our audience. The data helps define and refine the details, of course, and corporate strategies will usually help drive goals and practices on how we interact with our customers. But something we've kept in mind is, we may be doing the work, but it doesn't start with us, it starts with them. So for us at Boehringer Ingelheim, it starts with the customer. We're not the only ones. The idea of a customer-centric journey has been gaining traction across various industries, but the landscape for pharmaceutical companies in particular shifted dramatically during the COVID-19 pandemic. COVID led to a sudden increase in demand for digital engagement from our main target group, healthcare providers. We refer to them as HCPs. Seemingly overnight, a preference for digital interaction replaced one for in-person, face-to-face interactions. Our customers, the HCPs, wanted to be online more, and so the online space became more crowded, maybe even more crowded than real life, because it's a hell of a lot easier flooding an inbox than doing a mass in-person sales pitch. So there are a lot more voices competing for customer attention and time. HCPs invariably became good at tuning out sales pitches and marketing messages, which put the onus on us to deliver something too valuable to scroll past. In a sea of online messaging, we know we have to stand out by creating content that meets customer needs in a compelling and timely way, the right message at the right time. We also know that any successful plan for long-term engagement depends on us doing this consistently and flexibly, attuned to and aligned with what the customer needs and when they need to know it. So what exactly do our customers, HCPs, want to know? Ultimately, they want answers to specific questions, but we've learned they want them on specific channels at specific times. Historically, the pharma industry has focused heavily on messaging and channels, without sufficient consideration of how our customers' non-pharma experiences influence their expectations within pharma, particularly the online experience. But it's all connected. All of our personal experience, whether it's shopping, banking, social media, gaming, which you saw yesterday, play a role in shaping our expectations of what the customer experience should deliver. And we need to take that into account. Customers expect brands to deliver relevant content on the right channels at the right time, and importantly, with their consent. For HCPs, a recent survey by DT Associates highlighted that more than 1/3 of HCPs in a position to prescribe and recommend drugs and devices cite customer experience as a factor in their prescribing decisions. Which means it's not just the merit of product alone that warrants their use. It's their experience of getting to know that product. Additionally, with a growing digital native customer base, this is just one example that underscores why the importance of the customer experience is only set to increase. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. That first contact, that online touch point that we have the power to shape, is making a difference in the offline world too. There was a global study conducted in 2021 that asked nearly 700 HCPs to provide feedback on how pharma companies engaged with them on a variety of channels, from telephone calls with sales reps to conferences, websites, social media, and so on. It's an important question. What do customers think? The main takeaway was that customers don't really distinguish between any of these various channels. They're viewing how they come together to create a single experience. The way forward, the study notes, is one that ensures a seamless and personalized experience across channels. We have to decide which channels to employ and when to use them, but ultimately, we have to personalize and accept that a holistic approach is best. A customer experience can't be distilled to single channel satisfaction scores in isolation, but rather by the sum of those channels working in tandem, complementing and supporting one another. At Boehringer Ingelheim, we're trying to create exceptional customer experiences that are personalized, insights-driven, and evolving. But in order to do that, we have to address a couple of challenges. The first, the nature of our business is a collective of autonomous markets, each of which have their own ideas about what good looks like. And secondly, data has traditionally existed in channel-specific silos. We know, for example, how a customer engages on the website or through email, or how they engage with a rep, but not necessarily how those touchpoints connect. And there are good reasons for this. There are legacy system integrations, market dynamics, data sensitivity, regulatory reasons, etc. Whatever the reasons, we have to unify our thinking and our data in order to transform the customer experience. And that's where the CDP comes in for us. So how does having a CDP support our approach to customer experience? Well, it's helping us to build the blueprint. In late 2020, as part of a broader initiative, we determined that we needed a truly comprehensive, multifaceted understanding of our customers in order to be able to deliver a truly exceptional, personalized experience. It wasn't sufficient to capture isolated statistics about their email, website, or in-person engagement with a rep. We needed to know how it all came together. We needed the right data to be in one place to tap into the potential of personalization, and Treasure Data helped us to do that. Well, let's take a step back, take a bit of a big picture view of our CDP initiative, so you can see some of the steps we took to get to this point. Because transforming the customer experience doesn't just mean a massive change for the customer. It represents a huge leap and a lot of work for the organization, particularly the people behind the scenes. We started with a proof of concept in 2021 with the aim of testing the CDP. And thanks, Raj, for supporting us on that. Could we activate across channels? Could we bring in data at scale? Could we understand our customers in a way that allowed us to be more customer-centric? Well, it could, and it did. I got some encouraging feedback from one of our marketers after running the POC that really stuck with me. She said, "This allows me to plan for my customers rather than just planning for channels," which was perfect. You can reuse that anywhere in an organization. It sells really well. But it's true. And a comment also highlighted a few important benefits. This project wasn't just good for our customers, it was good for us, because it allowed us to be more efficient with our time and resources and allowed us to finally start thinking about the customer. Based on the success of the POC in 2022, we moved on to running a pilot, larger scale experiment to assess the practicality and effectiveness of the CDP. The pilot revealed some challenges, but also allowed us to work towards solutions. The pilot addressed a range of topics, including enabling business users to have greater control over customer data, collection, segmentation, and orchestration, enabled through CJO, and automating formerly time-consuming manual processes, including ingestion, segmentation, and channel activation. Based on the positive outcome of the pilot, in 2023, we began our rollout in two of our large markets, the US and Germany. And we made some mistakes, but we learned a lot. And a year later, here we are in 2024. We're continuing to work in the US and Germany, but we've also moved into our scale markets. Because working in a variety of places, each with their own unique set of customer needs, raises the question of what it means to go global, if the end goal is an omni-channel, personalized customer experience. For us, there are millions of HCPs in the world. So how can we possibly meet the myriad unique needs of our customers worldwide, given the constraints on our time and resources? And how do we better engage? How do we grow? How do we scale? Scaling represents the greatest challenge and most exciting opportunity for work like this, because figuring out how to do it well doesn't just allow us to fulfill our goals in the present, it sets us up to replicate what works so that we succeed in the future too. That's the question we're asking and answering in 2024 through our Golden Data Foundation, a set of standard data pillars we determined would lay the foundation for customized, needs-based growth in all our markets around the world. It's our blueprint of sorts for scaling up and going global. We scale up by going deep and wide, staying deeply rooted to specific data points while going wide on the execution, allowing for flexibility for individual markets based on their needs within a standardized framework. This thinking has helped us standardize the process, but it's also streamlined operations for us. For example, we've seen a cost savings due to being able to rely on a standardized framework. We've seen shorter rollout times, less workload as a result of little to no additional work in data ingestion due to standardized feeds. We've freed up the business to focus on marketing use cases and other use cases beyond marketing as well, don't worry, Kaz, rather than CDP configuration. Faster market entry and the opportunity for local markets to use the implementation of the Golden Data Foundation as a sandbox to upskill. So what is the Golden Data Foundation? The Golden Data Foundation is comprised of 5 main components. It includes standardized data points, references and use cases for rollout, a standardized onboarding process, cross-collaboration, and what we call our 90-day promise. When it comes to data, we look at 3 core global data types across markets: engagement data, consent data, and demographic data. It essentially boils down data into 2 areas, fixed and variable, with the thinking being that if we can pin down and standardize key pieces of data, we can empower and enable local markets to tailor messaging as needed. On a macro level, this templated approach allows us to be nimble when we need to be. The Golden Data Foundation also includes reference materials of sorts, use cases that can aid in addressing any challenges during rollout to quickly support business needs. As part of our scaling plan, we identified a use case framework that addresses where markets have struggled historically for one reason or another. For example, having a reliance on manual processes, or not being able to activate engagement based on the challenges of sharing data across platforms. We knew that if we could address these known problems, we could provide value to our internal customers almost immediately, and ultimately have an impact on our external customers too. So this use case framework became part of the Golden Data Foundation toolkit, a way to move forward, but with flexibility. Something else that we learned, and I think this is clear from our multi-year journey, is that implementing a CDP can be a lengthy process. We've learned from that. So with the Golden Data Foundation, we've developed a standard onboarding process for each market. We've simplified the data sources and activation channels. We've created out-of-the-box use cases, and our aim as we learn and tighten up the onboarding process is that we gain efficiencies as we go. So we started with the Golden Data Foundation. Then we move on to Market 1, which we knew would take the longest time. Then from Market 1 to Market 2 to Market 3, and so on. So we save time, effort, and ultimately cost as we go. What we've seen so far has been encouraging. If I compare the initial investment of implementing in our large markets with the scale markets, it's a decrease of 90% in terms of cost. For each subsequent market, as we tweak that process and get better at rolling out, that will decrease to 95%. In addition to the cost savings, there's also the consideration of time. When implementing with our initial markets, it took roughly 6 months from discovery to implementation. When I consider at that rate how long it would take to roll out globally, frankly, we would struggle to get that done. But we're now in a position of being able to implement in 90 days, which as we move on to additional markets, that timeline will get shorter and shorter. This means that we have a very strong opportunity to get the CDP into as many markets as possible, as quickly as possible, which is ultimately the aim. One of the other things we've learned is that because of the nature of the CDP, it almost requires that you break down some of those internal silos and work much more collaboratively. So one important aspect of our scaling model is the presence of cross-collaboration. As we implement with each market, we do so with the support from a number of different stakeholders, including, obviously, the market, our implementation partners, Axiom, so shout out to Axiom back there. Thank you. Corporate colleagues, and our Center of Excellence, who have historically supported our markets with campaign execution. So we start by engaging with our markets through business and marketing stakeholders from the outset. Then we work with markets to help them understand the capabilities of the CDP and also support them to identify which use cases they want to enable. Now, the Center of Excellence plays a really crucial role during this process because what we found during some of our initial conversations with markets is, as with any new platform or way of working, there's a reluctance for them to come on board. So we aim to ease that consideration by supporting them through the Center of Excellence who do most of the heavy lifting, the ingestion, the segmentation, the execution. We try to ask markets just to bring your strategy, and we'll do the rest. So as we work with markets, in the first 90 days, we promise that we'll provide clarity on data sources and insights. We also create their first segments. Those might be demographic or behavioral segments. And we create standard always-on segments for the highest value customers. And we start to tag each customer with their channels of choice for communication. And finally, we start to provide initial value through the activation of segments through 2 channels. We launch targeted campaigns, and markets start to see their first ROI and business value. This has been a lengthy journey over a number of years, and at times it feels like you're pushing a boulder up a hill, or maybe in our case, a mountain. But as with any journey that's worth taking, there will be bumps in the road. But I don't think of those as things to slow us down. I think of those as opportunities to think about how we can do things better, because we can, ultimately. We can think of ways to optimize our data ingestion. We can think about the massive change management undertaking. We can think about monitoring performance and optimizing. We can think of all of these things and more, and trust me, I do. But there are also opportunities to reflect on what we've learned and how that's informed how we move forward. And perhaps that can help you. So as you're thinking about your organization, remember, have very clear objectives and understand where you're trying to get to with your CDP. What's your North Star? Know that this could be difficult, complex, and might take you longer than you expected. Certainly did in our case. Start small. Start with those use cases that you know can provide value. You might not need to bring in as much data as you think initially to be able to support some of those. So help yourself to gain some momentum. Break down those silos. Find the people across different teams who can help you bring this to life. And remember, this is the most important thing. While it's about data, obviously, don't lose sight of the fact that above all else, this is about your customers, and this is about people. Thank you.